Walk outside right now. Go on, I'll wait. It's late September, and the air is getting that certain crispness. The leaves are thinking about changing their wardrobe. On every porch, in every grocery store, on every cafe menu, you see it. Round, ribbed, resoundingly orange. Presence has taken over. We are living in the age of the pumpkin. This isn't just a vegetable, it's a cultural monolith. A seasonal dictator that rules the months of September, October, November, with a firm, fibrous fist. The undisputed king of fall, the sultan of squash, the potentate of the patch. You can't escape it. So let's not try. Instead, let's understand it. But why this particular gourd? Why not the acorn squash or the humble butternut? What gives the pumpkin its imperial power? This takeover wasn't an accident. A slow, deliberate crawl from a forgotten field to the front and center of our modern consciousness. The pumpkin's journey is a tale of history, folklore, agriculture, clever marketing, grinning gourds, spiced lattes. You have to dig in. And I mean that literally. Get our hands dirty. Unearth the roots of this phenomenon. The pumpkin's reign is shorthand for the season. Cozy sweaters, crackling fires, the rustle of dry leaves underfoot. It's a powerful psychological trigger. This squash doesn't just sit on your stoop. It participates in creating a feeling, an atmosphere, a memory, edible, carvable, utterly ubiquitous seasonal branding, transcended its botanical origins to become a symbol, a cultural icon. Let's put this specimen on the lab table, break down its history, analyze its chemical makeup, analyze its cultural composition, trace its path to global superstardom. Before it was the face of Halloween or the heart of a Thanksgiving pie, the pumpkin was just a plant. A very, very old plant. Our story doesn't begin in a quaint New England town or a spooky Irish bog. No, for the origin of the pumpkin, you have to rewind the clock. A lot. We were talking thousands of years. Archaeological evidence, specifically fossilized seeds found in the Oaxaca highlands of Mexico, suggests that humans were cultivating pumpkins and their squash relatives as far back as 7,500 to 5,000 BC. That's right. Before the wheel, before writing, there were pumpkins. They are one of the earliest domesticated plants in the Americas. These ancestral pumpkins weren't the big, round, orange beauties we know today. They were likely smaller, tougher, and probably not very sweet. Early peoples didn't cultivate them for their flesh, which was often bitter and stringy. Instead, they were grown for their seeds, packed with protein and fats. The thick, durable rind was also incredibly useful. Once hollowed out, these gourds became nature's Tupperware. They were tools, vessels, and a source of nutrition long before decoration. So how did this utilitarian gourd get from ancient Mesoamerica to your front porch? You can thank a certain Italian explorer with a penchant for sailing west. Explorers encountered a prolific squash that Native Americans cultivated alongside corn and beans in a symbiotic system known as the Three Sisters. The corn provided a stalk for the beans to climb. The beans fixed nitrogen. Pumpkin vines shaded soil. Recognizing its value, they packed pumpkin seeds and brought them across the Atlantic. The pumpkin took to European soil with gusto, easy to grow, high yield, and storable for months. The French called it pompion, meaning large melon, which the English later corrupted into pumpion, and eventually the pumpkin we know and love today. Its journey from an ancient American staple to a European novelty was complete, setting the stage for its next great transformation. When the first English settlers arrived in North America, they found themselves in a strange and often unforgiving land. The crops they brought sometimes failed. They had to learn to adapt, relying on the native foods that sustained the indigenous population. The pumpkin was waiting for them. It was a literal lifesaver. Early colonists quickly learned to cook the pumpkin in many ways, not just for novelty but for survival. It was a hearty, nutritious, abundant food source that helped many a pilgrim through harsh winters. They didn't have ovens for pies like ours. Early recipes were rustic. Hollow out a pumpkin, fill with milk, honey, spices, then roast in ashes. The result? A sweet custardy pudding scooped from the shell. The very first pumpkin pie. The pumpkin was foundational to the colonial diet, a vegetable workhorse. As agriculture stabilized, it shifted from necessity to symbol. With its size, brilliant color, and timely harvest, it was the perfect visual centerpiece. Big, bold, and screaming bountiful harvest. Its large, hollow interior and soft rind made it a tempting canvas. Even before carving spread, its presence on tables and stalls drew admiration. Farmers showed off their largest specimens at county fairs, a tradition that continues today. The pumpkin slowly moved from the dinner plate to the pedestal, becoming an emblem of autumn's prosperity and communal comfort. So we have a celebrated harvest gourd. But how did it get its spooky grin? For that, we have to take another trip across the pond, this time to Ireland. The story of the jack-o'-lantern doesn't begin with a pumpkin at all, but with a man named Stingy Jack, a miserable trickster who even fooled the devil, trapping him in a tree by carving a cross and bargaining for his soul. Denied heaven, refused by hell, Jack was sent away with only a burning coal. He placed it inside a hollowed-out turnip and wandered forever, so people carved grotesque faces into root vegetables, turnips, potatoes, beets, lit with candles or coals to ward off spirits. Immigrants brought the tradition to America, found turnips small and stubborn, and discovered the perfect substitute, pumpkins, larger, softer, easier to carve. The pumpkin jack-o'-lantern was born, linking pumpkins to Halloween forever. Let's move from folklore to cold, hard, gargantuan facts. The pumpkin's role as a harvest showstopper sparked an obsession with size. Competitive growers use specialized seeds, meticulous techniques, and plenty of science to produce behemoths. As of my last check, Travis Ginger, Minnesota, smashed the record in 2023 with a 749-pound pumpkin. That's heavier than a small car. Ever heard of pumpkin-chunkin? Teams build catapults, trebuchets, and air cannons to launch pumpkins. Distances over 4,000 feet, 3/4 of a mile. Loud, messy, spectacular. Pumpkin festivals worldwide celebrate all things gourd. Circleville Pumpkin Show, since 1903. Parades, pumpkin foods, a crowned royalty, and sometimes a colossal pie needing literal tons of filling. The most jack-o'-lanterns lit in one place, Keene, New Hampshire, 30,581 in 2013. Imagine the glow, the weight, the distance, the sheer quantity. Our fascination pushes to the edge of absurdity, and that's part of the fun. The pumpkin's symbolic power makes it a perfect prop. In literature and film, a pumpkin is rarely just a pumpkin. It's a potent cue that instantly establishes mood. Washington Irving wielded its spooky potential in The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. The flaming jack-o'-lantern cemented pumpkins in American horror. A single glowing jack-o'-lantern with an ominous score sets dread. On porches, it becomes a silent observer, a harbinger of terror, hinting at the dark behind the smile. But pumpkins aren't always villains. Cinderella's enchanted carriage, childlike wonder, playful whimsy. The pumpkin is a character actor, a terrifying monster, a vessel of pure magic, or simple seasonal scenery. While we're busy carving and launching them, don't forget, it's food, and darn good food, Cucurbita genus. Eating varieties differ from watery carving types, sugar pie, Cinderella, Gerardale. The undisputed champion, pumpkin pie. A smooth spiced custard baked in flaky crust, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, cloves, an icon so beloved it became its own blend. But the pie is just the beginning. Roast it, blend into soups, stir into risottos, bake into breads and muffins. Pepitas are protein and mineral rich. Toss, roast, enjoy sweet or spicy. Even blossoms are edible. Italian and Mexican cuisines fry them golden. Stem to seed versatility. The 800-pound gourd in the cup, pumpkin spice. The PSL launched in 2003 and became fall's definitive flavor. Funny thing, originally no actual pumpkin, just the spice profile. Cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, clove, the taste of memory and branding. In 2015, pumpkin puree joined the recipe. So let's recap our journey. We've traced this humble gourd from ancient Mesoamerica, valued for seeds and shell, across the Atlantic, to a life-saving colonial staple cooked in embers. From necessity to visual icon of harvest, big, bold, beautiful. Its adaptability and appeal made it a survivor, a symbol, and a star. Old world folklore met new world gourds. A trickster's lantern became the jack-o'-lantern, magic and mystery of Halloween born anew. A simple decorative gourd turned participant in seasonal rituals, friendly or frightening faces greeting us every October. We marveled at 1,000-pound champions, pumpkin-launching catapults, and seas of glowing lanterns. Storytellers wielded terror, magic, and wonder. In the kitchen, it became the heart of holidays. In stores, its spice fueled a whole industry, the official taste of the season. It conquered farms, porches, screens, and palettes, a convergence of history, agriculture, folklore, and commerce. It earned its place. It's a symbol because it was first a tool, a treat because it was first a meal. It's magical because we tell stories about it. The pumpkin is king because it played every part: survivor, centerpiece, monster, and muse. So the next time you see one, grinning on a doorstep or pureed in your latte, give it a nod of respect. That is no mere vegetable. That is a cultural icon.